CC students, we are so happy that you're tuning in this morning. I'm here with one of my really good friends, Haylee James.
Hello.
And you probably recognize her. She has served on Christ Church's worship team. She has a beautiful voice, and I'm just super happy that she's here with us today. So
I'm super happy to be here with you as well.
It's gonna be fun. Okay, so we're gonna hop into some questions this morning. We got a little official card. I know,
card.
It's exciting. Okay, so Haylee, how long have you been at Christ Church for?
I believe that we're going on 2 years now. 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay, and so who is we? Who's in your family at Christ Church?
So my husband is Matt James. He plays guitar lots of times on stage, so maybe you recognize him. He also works here at the church in the worship and arts ministry. And my son Asa, if you see a little guy running around, acting crazy, being awesome, that's most likely my little guy around here. And he's 2, and yeah, he's amazing.
He's so cute, you guys.
He is cute.
He's so cute. Okay.
I can say that, I'm his mom, so.
Yeah. I mean, I can say it. It's unbiased. He's cute. That's what it is. Okay, so what is the grossest, like, in your recollection, what's the grossest thing you've ever eaten?
Okay, so I am going to tell you the grossest thing I've ever eaten, but it's actually something that I like. So
I know what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is. I know you know what it is. So when you asked this question, I was like,
I didn't even think about that. Okay, tell them what it is.
Yeah,
tell them what it is.
So
you guys, this is insane.
I love pickled corn. I love pickled corn.
Pickled corn!
Which is something that my family makes, and we eat it at Christmas time, which has nothing to do with the American tradition of Christmas time. It's just what we do. And it's really gross how it's made, because it's made in this big, like, pot, and it sits there for months on end, and basically you scrape back the mold and everything, and you dip it out and wash it off and eat it, and it's delicious.
You guys, the first time she told me about this, she's like, listen, they smell like stinky feet, but it tastes good. I was like,
it's delicious.
It's not
and your hands smell terrible for days, but it is so good.
It's good.
If you like olives, it's kind of the same kind of taste.
Okay.
So.
Huh. The more you know. So does that fall under, like, the best thing you've ever eaten?
No.
Okay, what's the best thing?
I would probably have to say that I love food, so there's a lot of
She's
favorites.
an amazing cook, you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Amazing cook.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have to say that probably some of the best is either my mom's cooking, which is delish, but I'm gonna say Polish ice cream.
Ooh.
Specifically in Old Town, Warsaw, Poland.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's super creamy. Really, it's delicious.
Okay, so if you can think back, because we're on CC students, right?
Yeah.
So let's think back to when you were in middle school, when you were in high school.
Yes.
What was the best part of that time for you? And then what was the worst part of that time for you?
So I would have to say that probably I'll start off with the worst, because that kind of connects to the best. I really suffered with some deep depression during that time, and it was really difficult. And so I would say that was probably the hardest time, was trying to go and navigate all of that and not really knowing what depression was and why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and not really having anybody on my side to kind of work through it. And then probably the best part was when my friend Robin came in my life, and she kind of gave me some direction and showed me about missions and ministry and intercultural service work, and I just fell in love with God during that time. And I mean, truly, that was like the launching of the very best part of that part of my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing what God does when He puts somebody in your life to speak into you, to be there for you. So I think that's super cool that that's your story, and like part of why you're here, and it started when you were a student, just like them. So
I mean,
awesome.
I think lots of the major decisions that you make stems from the time when you're in junior high.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was during that time when I was really struggling, but then it kind of just launched into this direction that God kind of just took me off in. So yeah.
So what's something in this season, maybe since COVID has started, let's just do that marking point of what is something that God's teaching you right now?
Okay, so I really feel like God is just teaching me to take care of myself so I can take care of others. So that was something that I'm just kind of like trying to struggle through, because I've always kind of struggled with what it looks like with like self-care and what that looks like. But now I'm starting to understand that whole verse with, you know, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Like, you have to love yourself so that you can love others. So that was one thing that I'm really just kind of drawing into. But another thing is just that I've gone through a really hard season, so that now that I'm coming out of it, I really feel like God is just he's drawing me near during this time. So he's just very, not that he was ever far away, it was me that was just kind of like wandering, but he's just kind of romancing me back to who he is. So and it's really wonderful to just get to know him in this stage of my life in a different way. So
that's cool. Okay, so we have 2 more questions. One of the questions is, what piece of advice would you give to students watching at home right now?
Yes, so I actually wrote this down because I wanted to remember what I wanted to say. But I think that specifically right now, things are really difficult with COVID specifically and being isolated. And that is one thing that Satan automatically goes to, is when you're going through a really hard time, he wants to isolate you. So I guess one way, and I'm sure you've heard it from many people, but it's so true, don't isolate yourself. Find your community, find people that are going to feed into you, and if you need help, reach out and ask. And if that first person doesn't get what you're going through, it's okay to keep searching, because not everybody understands mental health or even just that specific struggle. So I think that's probably what I would want to say in this specific season. So
that's good. And even if you are still staying at home and all those things, there's still ways to connect with people.
Absolutely.
There's ways to connect with us, so you can reach out to Cody or I, or to other leaders, just to check in and whatnot. And then this is our last question, which I'm so glad that she's gotten to be with us. She's so wise and just such a good friend. But what's your favorite thing about students? What do you love about them?
Oh man, I love students. And so Matt and I, we actually worked with junior high and high school students in Missouri. And so we were youth leaders during that time, and it was so much fun. I actually was really nervous about going into that ministry, but God really opened up my eyes to just how open they are to what God has for them. Like they actually have listening ears, whereas other people that are kind of in different stages of life, they're kind of closed off sometimes, and they're just so ready for what God has for them. And I love the passion that they have, and that they don't feel hindered by anything. They just go for it. And so that's something that I just love about it. And I love that they see potential in other people. I mean, we did this one exercise one time where we wrote down something that we liked about each person and passed it around. And I still remember that, because they saw things in me that I had no idea about myself. And that was just something that I'll never forget, because they saw something precious, and that's just who they are. I love students because that's just who they are.
Yeah. Well, we are so glad that we got to be together today from wherever you're watching from. We love you, we're praying for you, and hope to see you again soon.
Bye.